everybody, it's Dawn from Crafting on the Green. I hope you're well and staying safe. Today I wanted to show you 3 different types of card using the Comfort and Hope Cling Stamp set from Stampin' Up. This set's quite overlooked at times, but I think all the background stamps are lovely and the greetings really quite nice. So I thought I'd just show you 3 quick cards you can make up for almost any occasion really. So I'm going to start with this one here. This is a it's a card we don't like making, you know, it's a sympathy card, but obviously they have to be made. So I thought I'd start with this one. It's nice and clean and not over embellished, because you know you don't want to add lots of embellishments when you're having to send a card like this. So what I've got is I've got my mat of Mossy Meadow and I've got my layer of basic white, and so first of all I'm going to start by using the grey granite ink pad, and we'll get some bits on the background. So I'm going to use the pattern stamp here and the grid stamp to start with. So I'll just get a bit of ink on that, and then somewhere in the middle you just want to pop your grid stamp, and then using the like the wood laminate flooring almost, I'm just going to pop this on the side like that. And it doesn't matter if it overlaps because we're going to be covering that bit in just a moment. But I'm also going to I'm going to do that after, I think, once we've put the layers on and put some dots on. So put that to one side for a moment. Then I'm just going to bring in a piece of scrap basic white, and I'm going to use the circly swirly stamp and just pop that on there like that. Close that for a moment, and I'm going to bring in the Mossy Meadow, and I'm going to use the leaf stamp and just pop that on there. Okay, so now I'm just going to fussy cut these 2 out. So the circly swirly is quite straightforward to cut out. No real nooks or crannies to try and get into. There we go. And then the leaf. So when you're fussy cutting, it's best to move the card rather than the scissors. You'll see I'm kind of just spinning it around as I go. There we go, just like that. So now we've got those cut out, what we want to do is get them stuck onto our card base. So I'm going to use dimensionals for that. So first of all, let's get a few onto our circly swirly. And I'm just going to pop that about there so it covers up the bit where it was crossing over. We're going to stick that on in a minute, but first I want to do the greeting. So I've just got another piece here of scrap basic white, and going back onto the grey granite, I'm going to use Sometimes There Are No Words, and I want to pop that near the bottom. And then I'm going to bring out my little mini trimmer and I'll just trim that down. just want to trim the end slightly. There we go. So I've got a little bit of overhanging on the edge, because what I'm going to use is the tri-corner punch, and I'm just going to round off the corners slightly. That's gone a bit wonky. That's better. So it's not completely curved, it almost has a little point at the top, but that's okay. It's kind of the effect I'm going for. There we go. So we've got our greeting. And what I'm going to do, I want to pop that on here, so it's just in the middle of the grid. So I'm going to glue at one end and put a dimensional at the other. So let's get dimensionals. Put that there. Make sure I've got it on the right side. Yeah. And then we'll just pop a spot of glue on this side. So I'm doing it like this because it's overhanging. I want it to be supported at both ends. There we go. Then I'm going to add some more glue. I'm using Tombow. I like using Tombow. It's a lovely glue, and it sticks really well, which is what you want from a glue. So pop that over there, just like that. So now I'm going to bring in my dots. I'm going back for my grey granite again. So I'm just going to pop a couple like that. You'll see that when you first stamp the grey granite, it's quite a bit darker, but once it's settled, it does sort of mellow out a little bit. Right, now for Mossy Meadow. I'll just pop a couple of these on like this. It doesn't matter if they overlap. There we go. So that is the front of the card done. So now all that's left is to glue it onto our Mossy Meadow mat. There we go. And then we're going to glue that onto a basic white card base. And there's one I prepared earlier. Oh, I think my glue's starting to run out. There we go. So that's card number 1 done. So it's a lovely, straightforward, clean card that I think is perfect for a sympathy card. Next, I'm going to go for this one here. It's quite a fun card. I'm going to use the greeting, Comfort and Hope. Sometimes it's nice just to send a comforting card to somebody. So here I have got my basic white layer and Bermuda Bay for the mat. So pop that to one side. I'm going to clean my stamp. Just going to use a baby wipe for this one. It's always handy to have a stack of baby wipes handy. There's also the Stampin' chamois as well. But me being unprepared, I've got my baby wipes today. So I've cleaned that one off, and then I want to use, I'm going to go for Melon Mambo and Bermuda Bay. Two lovely bright colours. Make sure that's dry. And then all I'm going to do on one side is just pop these going down. You can put them where you want to, you don't have to have them in line, they can jump out all over the place. But that's up to you. Right, then I'm going to clean this off again. There we go. And let's just make sure that's dry again before we pick up some more ink. Then I'm going for the Melon Mambo. Such a gorgeous colour. Love these bright colours. So I'm just going to pop a couple on there just to add a bit of something different. Okay, give that a clean as well because we'll need that for our next card too. That there. So when you're cleaning off you may end up with blue or pink fingers, but that's normal. It does wash off, I promise you. Right, so now I'm just going to stick this straight onto our Bermuda Bay. There we go. And obviously you could do this card for anything at all. It doesn't have to say comfort and hope. It could be a happy birthday or just a thinking of you. So many different things you could do this card for. Which is why the background stamps are wonderful, because they can be for anything. You don't have to have a specific thing in mind. Right, so here I've got a piece of Bermuda Bay and a piece of basic white, and these are going to layer up over the top. So it's the same width as the basic white layer that we've got, and then the height of it is just 1 inch on that one and 3/4 inch on this one. So for this one I'm going to use Memento, get some black in there, and I've got my Comfort and Hope stamp. So I'm just going to stamp, make sure the cat hair doesn't get in the way. I'm going to stamp more to one end. There we go. And then I'm just going to stick these together. So the good thing about Tombow, if you haven't used it before, it gives you a bit of wiggle room once you've put it in place. So if it's not quite straight, then you can line it up better. So now that's on there, I'm going to stick that onto our card. And you'll see as well, it's such a quick and easy card to do. So each time I'm kind of, you know, just showing you that there's a simple stamping, but just to add a layer on top will make the card pop. And then next we're just going to stick that straight onto the card base. So it's a lovely straightforward card. There we go. So that's card number 2 done. Card number 3 has a little bit more to it. We're going to do some heat embossing and a little bit of using a blender brush. But that's card number 2. So, have a look. So card number 3 is using Misty Moonlight, and I've used a blender brush on one side. We've used Smoky Slate, Misty Moonlight on the top, and then I've heat embossed some white here. And I've actually used the thank you stamp from Peaceful Moments, because I wanted something that was quite big that said thank you. So yeah, so I've gone for this one right here. It's another lovely set to have because it's got lots of greetings that you're likely to use. So first of all, I'm going to do some blending to get this done on this side. So again, I've got my basic white, and I've got one of the new blending brushes that you can get, and they're full of tiny little fine bristles that are lovely and soft. They do feel lovely. And I've got Misty Moonlight ink here. And then all I'm going to do, just give it a little dip in there. And then starting off the paper, I'm going to work into it. We're just going to lightly go round in circles, just like this. And we'll get a bit more. I'm going to start at another corner. So you can build up as much as you want for how dark you want it to be or how light you want it to be. You could have it in a slightly ombre effect. There's lots of different ways of doing this. And the brush is so nice to use. If you want to put a little bit more pressure on, you can just pop your finger on the top. And just keep going round in circles like this until you've got it as dark as you want it to be. Now I'm only going to go around 1/3 over the page. Right, I think that's dark enough for me. So, as you see, it's got a lovely effect on there, and it just looks so smooth. But yeah, you can keep building it up and get darker. You could have it, say, an ombre effect going down. Wonderful brushes, they really are. Right, so now that I have got my base, I'm going to need my leaf, so I'm just going to clean that off of Mossy Meadow because we don't want Mossy Meadow on this one. And I'm going to need my dots. Give that a quick wipe from the last card as well. And we're also going to need our circly swirly, but we've already cleaned that one. And I'm going for smoky slate this time. So first of all, I'm just going to add in some of these. I don't want them to overlap this time. I just want them to do something like that. Then I'm just going to add in some little dots in the middle of each of these. It doesn't matter which way around you do it or whereabouts they go. And then finally I'm going to use the leaf. Make sure that's dry enough. And the leaves can just kind of go anywhere really, just to and go any angle, overlapping. Let's pop some there. Let's do another one there. There we go. So something like that, just kind of go crazy and fill it all up as much as you want to. So we'll put that to one side, let that dry, and then next what I'm going to do is the heat embossing. So here I have a piece of Misty Moonlight. It's just a scrap offcut. It's approximately 3 3/4 inches long by 1 inch wide. So what we're going to do, so I've got my Versamark, I've got my little embossing buddy. Now if you've not used an embossing buddy, what this does, it just helps to take off any of the grease or anything from your fingerprints to make sure that when you pop on your embossing powder it doesn't stick. So just give it a good going over there to make sure it's all cleaned down. And then next I've got my thank you stamp from the Peaceful Moment stamp set. Now Versamark is a clear ink and it takes a bit longer to dry. So I'm going to pop my thank you there. So you want to be careful not to touch around where we're going to emboss, because obviously now we'll still get the embossing powder sticking where we don't want it if you do. So I've got my my tub of white, and I use a teaspoon. Just helps me keep it all in one place, and saves things flying all over the desk. So we're just gonna do that. You can see I've got a little bit here where it's touched on, but that's okay. What I do use is I have a paintbrush just for taking away any extra, but you want to be careful not to touch the bits that we've just stamped and we actually want to cover. There we go, just help tidy it up. And now I've got my heat embosser, so bear with me whilst I just emboss this. It does get very hot, so don't get your fingers in the way, especially not for too long. You can emboss it underneath as well. There you go, you can see it's starting to change its shade now. There we go. So it doesn't take long, but it is very hot. Yeah, that's good. So now that we've got that one, give that a second as well. And what I'm going to do is get our background from earlier and just pop it onto our Misty Moonlight mat that we're going to use. Just like that. And then I'm just going to pop that onto the base of the card. So although this card has a little bit more to it, it's still very effective, and it doesn't take too long to do, which is quite nice, because sometimes we don't want to spend hours making cards. Right, so now we've got that bit, what I'm going to do is pop this on there using dimensionals. Make sure it's the right way up. So I want it to line up with the outside of the card. Just like that. And then finally, just to finish it off, I've got some rhinestones here. So I'm going to use my little take your pick tool, and I'm just going to pop 3 little rhinestones in the middle of some of these circles that we stamped earlier. And there we go. That's card number 3 done. So there we go. Using the Comfort and Hope stamp set 3 different ways. Hopefully it's given you some ideas. Obviously you can chop and change as well. I think this would also make a lovely sympathy card. As would that would make a nice thank you card. So, you know, have a play. I'd love to see what you come up with. Yeah, certainly lots to do. But thank you very much for watching. I hope you've enjoyed it. Please leave some comments below, and don't forget to subscribe and ring the bell so that you get notified when I release another video. Take care everybody. I'll speak to you soon. Bye bye.